Hey guys, welcome to Pop Culture. Let me try that again. Hey guys, welcome to Pop Culture Curiosities, where Gabe and I tell each other stories about pop culture that interest us, usually through the lens of our own experience being on set. Today is a really special episode. I'll let Gabe tell you all about that because Gabe's the one that set this up. So
Okay, so after the Naked and Afraid podcast released, I had put some clips online, and Andrew Shade, one of the Naked and Afraid survivalists, shared it on his page, and then a little bit later, Joe Ortlip from the episode The Devil's Woods in season 12 and also XL Frozen contacted me and was like, "Oh, if you want to do an interview, you can." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, sure." And so today we are going to show you the interview that we had with him, where I asked him a multitude of questions, and we got some insight about Naked and Afraid from him. And so thank you, Avery and Spencer, for setting all this up.
Oh, thank you. And obviously thank you to Joe for sitting with us and talking to us. It's you guys will hear, but it's really interesting to hear from somebody who's been through the experience, their personal experience. Because, usually we just sit here and have to guess, like, this must have been difficult, this must have been cool. So exactly, it was really a joy. And he's a lovely person, so stay tuned for that. I guess we're going back to he takes us right back to his episode, both of his episodes in the Montana wilderness. So,
both in Montana.
So flash warning.
Whoa.
Woo!
Man, so how you guys been?
Doing good. How are you?
We'll see.
Oh, okay.
Haven't been in the hot seat in a while, so ask me at the end how I'm doing.
Okay. Don't worry, I'm not gonna try to grill you on anything. This is just gonna be a fun interview where we learn all the things about Joe Ortlip.
All right. Okay. Where you want to start?
Okay. The beginning. Please tell us about yourself. Who is Joe Ortlip?
Geez. I've been trying to figure that out for the last 40-some years.
Who hasn't, really?
Yeah. Darn, I came in with a hard-hitting one.
Yeah, that's the question of the hour. I don't know. Yeah, if you strip back all, what you see on TV, I'm really just your average run-of-the-mill, just a happy kind of guy, just being a parent, I'm just out there doing my best and just hoping I can improve somebody else's day, and
yeah.
That's really all there is to it. I'm just trying to make my place in the world. And hopefully, by the time I go, I'll be remembered for something good.
Yeah.
You help improve my day when I watch your episodes and when you post on social media and you're like, smiling, happiness, joy. So you're doing great.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, but I figure, what? It's just, if you can find ways to smile even through the hardest of times, it's just, you're giving other people some hope. It's like, maybe their stuff isn't quite so bad.
Well, thank you for bringing happiness and joy. I know life can be crazy and all that jazz, but thank you for all the joy that you bring to those who interact with you, including me. I know when we did our Facebook Live, that was a fun time for me.
Very welcome.
And so my next question is, how did you find the podcast? How did you learn about us?
Okay, so actually, I found you guys completely on a whim. It was on Instagram. I saw you guys. I think, I don't know which one of you guys it was, but somebody used the hashtag for Naked and Afraid, and I just saw like a little snippet of the podcast. So I was like, all right, you know what? This sounds interesting. So I checked it out. So,
that would be Gabe, yeah.
Shout out to you guys, and here we are.
Understood. Well, thank you for reaching out.
I like being able to talk to fans in this perspective-wise, because it's just, they only have like a certain kind of view of certain things, and then when they get to see like a little more of the behind the scenes stuff, it's like it's almost like adding a little more clarity to it. So maybe whereas if they were a little harsh versus one person and not the other, or just giving a little more clarity, I suppose.
Yeah, I always say, I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I was just going to add to that and say, yeah, I always say, like, when we cover anything reality TV, I'm just like, this is this person's, like, persona, but we don't know anything about this person. And, you know, reality TV isn't real all the time or a lot of the time. So it's always good to see, like, the behind the scenes. I've never worked in reality TV, so I'm very, I'm always interested to learn from people who have done that, like, what their perspective is of the whole process.
Little bit of upfront disclosure here, though. Just due to contractual certain stuff, I'm not able to talk about certain subjects. But
I assume so. Yeah.
Just I will do as much as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. We work in the industry. We know the whole NDA thing. So yeah. So just, you know, less about like the, you know, production side and more just, you know, your experience, you know, being, you know, on reality TV.
Yeah. Darn, I was gonna ask you like I was gonna ask you all the behind the scenes. What can't
you're crossing out questions as you go.
Dang it. Oh, that's like 20 of my questions. I'm just kidding. Okay, so what were your thoughts when you first heard about Naked and Afraid, and what made you want to be a part of Naked and Afraid?
Okay. So yeah, when I first heard about it, just the title alone, I thought it was the goofiest sounding thing in the world. Well, I mean, at the time, I mean, the only thing we had for survival options, you had the Bear Grylls, and then you had the Les Stroud, you know, so the Man vs. Wild and Survivor Man. Those were your only options. So then to have something come along called Naked and Afraid, like, it sounded kind of, I don't know, like gimmicky at first. So it's like, all right, you know, I'm probably not going to watch it. It's like, you know, whatever. But then when it came on, I remember this because it caught my attention. Now, like later down the line, I realized who these people were. But the very first episode I got to see was a rerun of the premiere. It was where the executive producer Steve Rankin actually got bit by a fertile ants in the area where the two were. Kim was the one's name, I think, and the other Shane. Yeah. God, I hope that's right. But okay, so yeah, immediately grabbed my attention. So it's just like, these areas are the most dangerous places. Like, you always hear about stories like, okay, people going and getting lost in deep in the Amazon jungle, or going to like the back safaris and stuff, and getting attacked by all these wild animals. And it's just, you know, so the places they were dropping these survivalists on this show were just like incredible. You know, they always called this like the Everest of survival challenges. You know, it's reasons like that. I understand why. So, you know, it caught my attention there. So it's like, all right, I'll at least give it a try. So yeah, I just went through a season. It's like, okay, this is not so bad. I'll watch it if it's on. But I wasn't totally hooked just yet. But it was during the second season, I remember. I believe it was called Man vs. Amazon. That's where we got to see EJ and Laura come back for an Amazon episode. Yeah. Between the treehouse they made and like that crazy looking raft at the very end for extraction, I just like, I immediately thought to myself, I was like, dude, I could do this. Like, I want to do this. I don't know how. I wouldn't even know where to start to begin to learn stuff like this, but it's just like, I had it in my head. It's like, I could do this. That would be like a dream come true for me. But nothing happened for a couple of years. You know, I didn't apply for, you know, many, many years till after that. But that was really the moment that got me.
Yeah, and the raft, they had like their own little thrones on the raft. It was
That's
nice.
amazing.
It was fancy looking. They're just like paddling along, just like, oh yes, the raft, even though we've spent like several weeks in the jungle, but look at this fancy raft. Yeah, that's I thought that was really cool to see EJ as a craft master. That kind of leads into my next question is, do you have any other favorite episodes of Naked and Afraid, and why are they your favorite episodes?
Favorite and why? Okay, sure. Next one, Stomping Grounds. This is where Matt Wright and Gary Golden came back. They were kind of like the mentor positions here for two fans that came in. Blair and Molly, I believe, were the names of the two fans that came in with them. So the episode itself was like one of those tribe episodes. Pretty run of the mill. It's like, it didn't stand out to me for that. But the moment that really hooked me for that specific episode was when Molly actually started choking. It was just like they were, you know, eating some, I don't remember what the kill was, but, you know, just kind of having a good time, you know, just chowing down. And she like literally, she started like choking. Like Matt sprung up and like immediately started doing like the Heimlich and like, you know, showing the back pass. And it just, that for me was more powerful than any survival thing I've ever seen on the show. So it's just like that was the most memorable, like, favorite moment for me, like, hands down.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that moment, and like instantly Matt is up and he's giving the Heimlich, and it was just like, huh. And then like a few days later, that massive storm comes in. Oops, sorry. That massive storm comes in. It's just like, huh, what's gonna happen here? But and I believe and I thought it was interesting how like Gary's like, look, I found some catfish by the pond. We can eat this. And Molly is like, we are not eating that catfish. And then Matt's like, oh look, here's a board that I just happened to get. And it's just like, cool. That's a great option right there.
It's just, that's another thing. I don't think people realize at home, exactly how hungry you can get out there.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can only imagine.
A lot of what we turn our noses up to now is just, you know what? It looks like a damn feast out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine the feast you guys have afterwards. You're like, yes, it's all the food I wanted, but my stomach is so small I can't eat everything.
Oh, I don't think I've ever had that problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've always had a great appetite. Now, a lot of people say that though too. It's like their stomachs really shrink. I did not experience that personally.
I just remember during your episode when you and Sam were getting stuff ready, and you're like telling a fat man not to eat. Why? And so I thought that was a fun moment. Yeah, but my next question is, what would you say some of your strengths are in terms of survival techniques, whether it's building fires or like making contraptions or shelter building or whatnot?
Okay, so when everybody's talking about skills, they always talk typically about, fire making, water purification, your shelter building, or your hunting and food, like collecting type thing, right? But what people don't talk about enough, I believe, is the whole mental aspect of it. And that's where I believe I personally excel the most. I don't think there's a scenario out there in the world that I would quit for. Absolutely not. I would not willingly go, on my own accord. And just, I don't think that's something you can teach people. That's something you learn through life experiences and just pure will and sheer determination.
And that probably makes all the difference out there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And just to give you a little bit of background about myself, kind of like why I'm in this situation. You see, when I look back on things, both of my parents, they were diagnosed respectively with cancer. Dad had leukemia and mom went through lymphoma. It was a terrible experience through, the entire thing. But see, what I admired most, like, about them as they were going through this, it's just they never lost track of who they were as people. To me, like, going through cancer would be like terrifying. It's just the amount of emotions that somebody would experience as they're going through that is just I cannot, comprehend what it would be. But during this entire time, they remained mom and dad. They were the nicest, sweetest people in the world. They were more worried about, it's like, did you have enough to eat? Just like be home early, just like, are you okay? Do you have enough gas money? They were always parents and loving mom and dad first before anything else. Yeah. And it's just like, they never lost that. Never gave up. And, so when I look at these, and I'll use the Naked and Afraid experience since we're on this topic. So if I were to quit during any one of these challenges, for me, and just it's a very personal statement, it would be like saying that I'm outwardly admitting that whatever I'm going through at that moment is more difficult than what they were going through because they didn't quit. So what's my excuse?
Yeah, that's really admirable. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always enjoyed watching your attitude throughout most of it because, the struggle of surviving 21 days is tough already. On top of that, the partnership was not the best. So you keeping that attitude and that having that mentality is really commendable, and I'm sorry about your mom and dad.
Appreciated. Yeah, and that is one thing people bring up a lot about Sam and I. It's just, our attitudes were very different. We were very, very extremely different individuals. But, as we spoke before, just a little bit about this, I really, truly believe deep down the biggest difference between us at our stages in life, is just when we had troubles, I had a support system. She didn't. You know, so I believe I turned out the way I did because of how many people I had around me. You know, it's just I never was alone. You know, it had to be really difficult for her to go through, and I can't imagine that. So I don't excuse
everybody's
her
doing the
behavior,
best.
but I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and hopefully a lot of individuals watching can like not say like, oh, it's okay that she did that, but say I understand why she did that, and let's like learn from this moving forward so stuff like this doesn't keep happening.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Truly.
other people can have support. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't hold anything against her.
Yeah, I mean, even though I'm sure a lot of people are like, she owes you an apology, but I remember on Reddit you talked about how like, hey, leave her alone. She has her own experiences, even though some of the stuff she said wasn't okay. Just kind of like ease off of it. And I thought that's very commendable.
That's very kind. Yeah,
and kind that you did that.
Well, look at it this way also. You know, if you were to get into like like a scuffle with somebody, just maybe somewhere at your workplace or out on the street or whatever, it's between you and maybe a very small amount of people. Maybe some people watching, maybe they'll tell their friends, but I mean it's a fairly small thing, right? Now if you look at that same kind of scenario, but you put it on TV, now all of a sudden the same kind of scenario, it's like, okay, whoever was villainized, let's say, in it, well, now they have potentially, hundreds of thousands or, even in the millions of people, viewing this, making their own opinions, and judging. And unfortunately, in Sam's scenario, she had, well, I'm going to imagine several thousands of very unsavory comments towards her. At least from what I read anyway online. I don't know what she got personally in the inbox. But based on what was on public content, it's just that I really believe that's too much for any one person ever trying to endure. And it's just, again, I don't agree with what happened, but I don't think anybody deserves that kind of punishment. I mean, that's bullying on a whole new level.
Yeah, one thing that I've learned from seeing interviews with like reality show contestants is like you see them and you're like, oh, they're nothing like they were portrayed, because it's like you have to remember there's an edit going on. They're trying to create a story and they can't show everything there. So give a little bit of benefit of the doubt. Maybe just say like offer constructive criticism and like keep your opinions like over there, unless it's like support for the person, because it's just like when you have thousands or potentially thousands of people coming in at you, that could be very overwhelming and it doesn't really help the situation.
Sure. So like I said, anytime people normally comment stuff like that, and if every so often the wave comes on, it's just, just if you're going to do anything, guys, just wish her well. Just leave her be. Let her heal. I think that's the best thing they can do.
Well, maybe one day she'll be like, hey, I'm sorry, Joe, and then everything's fine. Well, not everything's fine, but she like is showing that she's learning from the situation. But I don't want to get into I don't want to like speak for her in that situation.
No, I hear you. No, and no, I haven't spoken to her since. When she left Montana, that was the last time I seen her.
Yeah, so hopefully, I think I discussed her on the podcast, but we're not going to be discussing her. We're discussing Joe at the moment. But anyway, so this is a bit of a long one. So, and I apologize if I if I do a very bad job of saying this, but can you please walk us through the casting, lead up to the challenge itself, and extraction and aftercare for both of your challenges, please? And what did you do to prepare for both of them?
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. It's a long one, but it's just like, take us through
break that down into sections.
Everything.
Okay, well, grab your popcorn. We're going to be here a while.
All right.
I have a
in order to apply for this, all right, actually a little backstory here. I was almost actually scammed the very first time.
Oh.
I followed a link on Instagram when I first applied. It said, if you now casting for Naked and Afraid, if you want to be on this, like it's just a flyer, right? Something, all right, sure. I had the offhanded comment made to me. It's like, oh, you think you can do any better about that? And I'm like, I'm being a smart ass. I'm like, fine, yes, I'm going to apply. Sure. So went through there, contacted, a couple days later, and this company, I don't remember what the heck it was trying to charge me $300 and some to be represented.
Oh no!
Why? Well,
sounds like
that is
99.
wrong. The only people that deal with this for Discovery is a company called Metal Flowers Media. 100% they're the only ones, and it does not cost you a thing. So there are plenty of scammers out there just trying to prey on you. Because, I mean, everybody, they want their 5 minutes of fame, you know what I mean? It's just... Yeah. I can only assume they take your money and then you never hear from them again. I don't know.
Yeah, there's been issues with like companies in our line of work doing extra work, doing stand-in work here in Atlanta, where it's like trying to charge like people who are new to the industry money to do this, and it's like you don't pay anybody any money like that up front to represent you or whatever, and it's just like, please, we're always on the internet being like, please.
Oh, there's so many people on like the background Facebook pages that are like, I saw something from this company called 99.
We're like, no,
and we're like, no, avoid 99 at all costs, and all that fun stuff. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So it was actually kind of weird. So after that, I'm like thinking, you know what, I can't afford this. I can't, I'm not going to pay just and maybe get on, maybe not. I don't know. But again, at the time, I didn't know any better. I didn't know how the company works. But coincidentally, that's when EJ reached out to me on Instagram. It was through another show he was casting for, something across seas. It was some kind of endurance race type thing. But anyhow, so like I was ecstatic. Like I as a fan of the show, and then EJ contacted me. I'm just like, this can't be real, kind of thing. But then I talked to him a little bit. I explained to him what happened, and he's the one who told me, no, that's not real. That's just, that's a scam. So I did actually apply for the real one, and then ended up, I don't know, maybe a week later talking to EJ, to get my PSR evaluation. So, yeah, I mean, it's really because of him that I got on, because just otherwise, I don't think anything would have progressed, because I was not going to pay that other company, all those exuberant amounts of money.
I'm glad you didn't.
Right. So that was kind of cool. Yeah, it was just a normal application form. metalflowersmedia.com. Just click on there, now casting, and Naked and Afraid should pop up as one of the things. Okay, so yeah, went through there. Now this part, I'm not sure what I can and can't say. So I'll just say there were a series of interviews that I had to go through, kind of like an elimination type thing. They were very thorough with the medical stuff. And yeah, I mean, so it was kind of weird with mine. And I'm not sure how this works, because mine was during COVID. So when all that travel restrictions were going on, like everything was just like locked down. Like everybody, there was no travel. So what I had been told originally, people had been flown out to LA for their interviews and their medical exams and all this other stuff like that. But for me, no, all my stuff was just all via Zoom. So I don't know. I mean, maybe that was different because of the restrictions going on, or maybe that's how they do it now. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Interesting. I know a lot of places started with Zoom, like COVID restrictions, and then they just kind of, depending on the production, they just kind of stuck with it. They were just like, yeah, this is working. We don't need to reformat what we're doing for a third time.
Yeah. We don't want to confuse everyone. It's easier for us. Have them Zoom in. It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really weird though, because just like I said, I mean, during COVID, I mean, literally, like I was going through casting and everything just stopped, like dead communication for months.
Oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, how the media was making it sound. I mean, just like, the world was ending. So, okay, what are you supposed to think? Obviously a TV show isn't going to be producing, while all this stuff is going on. But yeah, once they got the go ahead, I was contacted again, and yeah, I got about 2 weeks notice for that one, for my 21-day challenge. Yeah, maybe 3 weeks. So when I was first told I was going and confirmed, that was one email. And then later on, maybe a week prior to, that's when I found out where I was going. So yeah, as far as prepping, didn't really have a whole lot of time there. I mean, Frozen was certainly worse. I only had 2 days for that one. So it was...
And why would they do that to you? The Saint of Naked and Afraid, shame on you, Discovery. And this is my opinion. This isn't Joe's, but shame on you, Discovery. Anyway.
That's all right. Now, it's like, thankfully, though, and just... Okay, so my background is in cold weather survival stuff. I'm right here outside the Pocono Mountains here in Pennsylvania. So this is like my typical stomping grounds. So when I got to go to Montana, it was just like, it was different enough to where it was challenging, But it was similar enough to where it's like a lot was familiar in terms of like the overall vegetation, what would be readily available for foraging. It felt almost familiar where I was comfortable, if that makes sense. So I think I got really, really fortunate on there, because if I were to be sent out with like only 2 days, notice, let's say to Africa or the Amazon, like I'd be clueless. I'd be completely worthless. I'd have no time to study, no time to put on any kind of weight. And it's just, I would have been in a real, real world of hurt. But thankfully, though, and it worked out for me, because I got to go to the mountains twice. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah. That answered my question. I was going to ask what your feelings were about being sent to Montana as opposed to somewhere else, or like if you had any kind of, if that was your guess or anything close to your guess as to where you were going.
Oh, I hadn't a clue. I had not a clue. Because see, it was always kind of funny. So there was this cast member. Her name was Mel. She was from here outside of Philly. I'd spoken to her, God, maybe 2 weeks or so after I talked to EJ. She was just looking for any kind of tips. It's like as I was going through the casting process. She told me about her episode when she was back in, I think it was Louisiana. And it's like, she was like, what she was going through, she said, they were asking, what's the worst case scenario for you? Well, what's absolutely terrible? What can't you handle? And she said, bugs. She absolutely hates bugs. So, okay.
Wow.
Well, then they turned around and threw her in there. She got paired with Jeremy that season.
Oh yeah, I remember that. So, or just a word of advice for everyone on Naked and Afraid: if they say, "What's the worst case scenario?" Lie, because they will throw you in that scenario.
It's a trap.
Yeah, so
well, again,
purposefully, I'm like, yeah, I have no tolerance to the cold whatsoever. So they threw me in Montana twice, because
3D chess.
I mean,
yep.
I don't know. Valley Forge isn't known for that big of cold winters.
I'm surprised they weren't like Canada, but I'm sure they're like, travel restriction, just put him in Montana, it's fine. Twice. He's been there, he'll know.
It was challenging, but truly it was just so much fun, and just the peaceful stillness out there is like nothing else I've ever experienced. It was really amazing. It was so far removed away from like civilization. It was just my favorite part really was just being able at nighttime to look up at the sky. I've never seen anything so crystal clear. That was amazing.
So many stars. That sounds beautiful.
Yeah.
No, I miss it. I love it.
Oh gosh. So what you're saying is maybe they should send you back for another Montana challenge.
Oh, come on. Jeez. No. No. I mean, I do have a wish list, but I mean, just, I don't know that they really listen to us much.
Darn it. Well, don't worry. Well, the fans will get the fans to ask them politely to do that. So
nice.
My next or at least I'll try. I don't really have that much pull, but Avery's really popular. So,
please.
So I'll ask Avery politely, and she'll have her fans to ask Discovery. And so my next question is, from casting to extraction, which point was the most nerve-wracking, and how did you calm yourself down through those like anxiety-filled moments?
Most nerve-wracking, hands down, med checks. I do not like generally going to physicians on a daily basis on the outside. I don't particularly care for it. Have some rather unpleasant experiences in the past. I didn't care for some care that was administered for my parents, and just I don't generally like a lot of things that have happened in the medical field. A lot of it seems more insurance based instead of care based, and that's my political stance on that. So I don't know, like any kind of med like checks where they're coming around, it's like, okay, checking blood pressure, heart rate, just normal well checks, right? So I cannot calm down. Like anxiety's going through the roof when something like this is happening. And like my normal heart rate is high to begin with. I mean, I'm anywhere from like 100, 105, just like resting heart rate. That's just me typically. So to be told it's like I'm supposed to be down at like, 60 to 80, whereas like I've never been that low for my entire lifetime, was really, really alarming. And that just honestly, that added to the anxiety. So it's like, whereas me being calm is already in their danger zone. So it's like, it was kind of a lose-lose situation for there. Little update on that, though. I'm sure we'll get back to this later. But after Frozen was over, I got to do a bit of treatments up with my cardiologist back home. family doctor. I had an ER visit there in Montana itself. So, yeah, I am as normal as can be. I just, I naturally just have a high heart rate. That's all it is.
I have one too.
Blood pressure, low blood sugar. I'm good.
It's more common than I think people. I think it's more common than I would believe. I also have a high heart rate, and they're like, "You're fine. We think you're fine." And I'm like, "Okay, okay, cool. Thank you."
Sure.
We don't think anything will.
I do understand that they had a job to do. I get it, but my only grievance is I feel like I was kind of treated like on a statistical basis rather than a patient by patient thing. Just if I'm not like exhibiting any kind of other symptoms other than just a base rate that's too high, I mean, I don't know. It's never sat right with me since.
Yeah, and wouldn't they have known that before because they did the med checks ? Because they should know. Oh, his heart rate is a little higher when he's relaxed before the challenge. But I'm sure I'm sure a producer somewhere was like, put a pin on that one. But I don't know. That's just my opinion. This is not Joe's opinion. This is my opinion. Joe doesn't think this. This is what I think. He's a saint. He's awesome. Anyway, yeah. But that's my question of it all. I'm sure maybe a producer will be in my DMs like, "How dare you?" But
hey, a producer watches us.
That would be great. Where's David's story? He's like the most popular or well known.
Yeah. But. So I don't personally understand why I was tapped for the reason I was, but that's water under the bridge. I can't fix it now. I can only hope that I don't know, for whatever reason they bring me back, whether it be story based or if they're looking for somebody with specific, I don't know, personality, skill sets, you name it. I mean, I'm open to it. It's just a matter of being asked.
Well, I hope. Well, I hope they ask you, and I hope they put you in an environment you're comfortable with and know about your heart rate, so they're not like, let's just pull him just because that would be so mean. Anyway.
Yeah, but no, something cool did actually come out of that, though. The very first Montana one, at least to date, anyway. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know about what's previously been recorded and not aired, but as far as I know, as far as aired stuff goes, I'm the only one right now to finish 21 in Montana.
Oh wow!
Oh, okay,
congratulations!
Awesome.
So it's kind of cool. Wasn't totally in the ice, but I'll take what I can get.
I mean, you pretty much survived like an entire week in like 30-degree nights. So I think that's highly commendable for you to do that before they gave you the bison pelts and stuff. So I mean, kudos for dealing with that, because not a lot of people are just like, yes, I will be in 30-degree weather in my birthday suit during the night. But again, very commendable.
It was so much more frustrating than actually what they showed. They went a little bit on it on the episode. So let me give you a little bit more clarity to this one. So in the very beginning, do you see as we normally go through having multiple shelters for the part of the episode while Sam's still there?
Yeah, I remember you saying like, oh, do you think tomorrow we're going to be on our fifth shelter on our 5th day? And she's like, haha, you got jokes.
Yeah. So the reason for that was literally, if something didn't work the night before, the shelter was being torn down completely and then started over. That's why they kept looking differently. We did not have very agreeable tactics. So rather than, building onto it, that's what you got to see.
Yeah, I remember you had one shelter and you're like, I think we could build here. And Sam's like, I'm going to yell at you if this doesn't work. And then that didn't work. But then you built the shelter more in the sun. And then I think they only showed you building like 3 or 4 shelters. And then the one after day 11 that you built. So
there were a total of 6.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. That was exhausting. And no reason.
That sounds exhausting.
So in terms of the shelter that was in the middle of the field, exposed on all sides by wind, let's talk about that for a minute.
Okay.
Whew. Okay, so a dome shelter would be good if made properly. It was not. The limbs they were using for the support beams were like pinky size in thickness. I mean, just really.
Oh, no.
It was not sufficient to be able to support a lot of weight. So when we started piling on the bowels and stuff like that, it just literally when we crawled in there, it was just inches above us laying flat. It was terrible.
Oh no.
The fireplace that we had there, we couldn't use it because we were literally laying down flat. So storing wood, we had to kind of like belly crawl just to get it in the shelter. It was completely impractical. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. So it just, boy. So that was only 2 nights in that one, which was pleasant. That's too much though. So again, Sam had a lot of good ideas, but the execution just wasn't there. And a lot of people say, you weren't making any decisions, you didn't know what you were doing. And so I got a lot of flack for the beginning episode. Now, what a lot of people don't realize this, so we had a conversation as we were going in, like on our insertion hike. We were just comparing different skills, what we were bringing into each other, or bringing in what each other would bring. Sam seemed like she had a lot more practical knowledge. A lot more of my stuff was all study based. I did stuff at different camps. I did stuff at my own, on my property. But I've never actually survived, bushcraft on my own. Where Sam said she has done it for months. She used to live out in the wild, doing XYZ, like naming all this stuff. So it's like, oh, okay, cool. You are clearly the more experienced. Would you like to take the lead kind of thing? So it's like, okay. She seemed very assertive, very much an alpha kind of, personality. So it's like, okay, I'm cool with this. If you got more experience, I'm okay with being a student on this one. I will help you where I can. But if you've got better ideas, okay, sure. We're going to base this on your experience. Unfortunately, that whole scenario turned into me being an idiot and not knowing what I'm doing and not making any decisions. So, there was no winning in that scenario.
I can imagine that's frustrating.
Yeah, watching the scene where you were doing your interview and you went down and weren't feeling well, and just that whole conversation and her just being I can't imagine like days of like that, and then you're just like, you're right, Sam, and it was just so sad to see you have to go through that and trying to like diffuse the situation while she's yelling at you about the water, and it's just like, oh. But yeah, what.
So let me debunk something real quick there. They seem to love doing this to me, and for the life of me, I don't understand why. So it keeps getting blamed on dehydration. So in the very first one, since we're talking about that one, my blood sugar completely dropped out from under me, and I was getting faint to the point of passing out. I'm not anywhere near in a danger zone of being diabetic, but so many days of not eating, it's just literally my glucose levels and sugar just I tanked, and literally standing in the sun, I was about to pass out. So it was probably they're saying it was a number of factors, but my blood sugar was just dangerously low. I just kind of hung out, got something to drink, and just rested. Anything I would have normally done.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense, because you were mentioning how you didn't know if it was dehydration because everything going on, you just need a moment to think. So that makes more sense.
It didn't match up fully. It's just everything literally just went to a blackish red color, I remember, and I got really dizzy. So I'm thinking, sorry, all right, so I got to sit down immediately so I don't fall down. And then when I laid down, I tried to get myself to my side so I wasn't going to throw up, which is why you saw me roll over. So it was really frustrating. Mentally, I was there, but physically, I couldn't articulate the words that I wanted to. It was really, really just kind of scary at times. But
I'm sorry.
And also, and going back to, I had a question about the interviews where was there scheduled times for the on the fly / talking head interviews, or did the producers just pull you away whenever? They're like, oh, you're rebuilding your shelter here, you need to come over here and talk to us.
Okay.
Or
so
was
they
there
usually tried to do it in the mornings. Well, I guess no, they kind of switched it up a little bit. No, yeah, I think it was primarily mornings because it was a little cooler out. But yeah, it was more flexible. It's just, if we had stuff we wanted to do, if we wanted to go on a hike early morning, we'd finish up, the OTFs a little later on. So I've been really fortunate, though. It's the producers and the team that I've had are just really, really great to work with. I haven't heard anything bad about them, so I've been really fortunate. My first one, Phil LaCroix, just an amazing dude. We'll get to a little bit more about him, but just one of the kindest individuals I've ever met to date. not just for production wise, but just as people in general. Just a really genuinely kind individual. So I feel very blessed to have been able to work with him.
That's good to know. Because
yeah.
Oh no, sorry.
Oh, you're good. Yeah. And then coming back for Frozen, I got a producer by the name of Kat McGee. Again, it's just another just beautiful soul. Really, just the common thing with both of them, I understand it was a job, but they never treated it like that. They always had your best interest in mind. They'd never suggest something that would be like potentially dangerous to you. I mean, even if it was just remotely, so it's just that's something unexpected for me personally. I thought in my mind it's like, oh, they're just going out for ratings or this and that, and then I get those two. So I feel really, really lucky. Just they genuinely, they cared about the people that were in front of the camera. I just that meant a lot for me. So I was willing to do more for them.
Yeah,
that's good.
We cover reality TV horror stories where people are like, the producers were horrible. So it's good to hear the opposite story for once.
Nah, I had some good ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for just to Discovery for Joe's future challenges. Make sure he gets the good producers, please and thank you.
Nice.
And sorry, I'm just like, yes, Discovery's listening, but wishful thinking.
They all watch every week.
They must know. And also, I've always wanted to know this. When you're filming your extraction videos where it's just like you're on your extraction vehicles and you get your final thoughts, is that kind of like after you're fully extracted and it's like, oh, you're at the location where you're gonna like get checked over and you're gonna stay for a little bit before heading back to civilization? Or do they like stop like in the middle of the extraction trek and they're like, here, hop out and say this? Or is it like fully after you're just done with extraction?
No, you're done after that completely. You've had a little time to rest usually, but yeah, they're not going to stop you from getting on. It's like, okay, let's pull over the truck and do an interview here. Okay, now you can go back to now. And it doesn't work like that.
Okay.
It's a fluid process.
What are you most looking forward to once you're extracted and you're like, I get to go home?
I was most looking forward to getting a shower. That was first, above all, and then brushing my teeth. Everything else came in place.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Thing, just ugh, like I had so much pine sap just like caked on me everywhere. It just it was terrible, and like trying to.
That sounds terrible.
Off, like it was almost like abrasive, kind of like peeling off. It was just like ugh, it was terrible.
How many showers did you have to take, and did you have to like stop, like wait a little bit, and then go back in?
Oh, you're being subtle.
What? Well, I know people are like, oh, I had to take 6 showers, so I just want an exact number since it was mentioned. Not, oh God, this sounds so weird now. I'm sorry. I'm gonna clip this and put this on my Instagram. No, sorry, I did not.
Took one for about an hour and a half. I think it took. Yeah, just one.
Wow.
And I destroyed 3 washcloths.
Oh.
They were just like black. It's just like ugh.
Oh.
But again, it's just like you can wash and bathe out there, but it doesn't have the same effect as like having, I don't know, soaps, I suppose. I mean, I wasn't like making any kind of like, resin soap or anything. So yeah, like people started to get kind of pungent after a while. It's just really unpleasant. And it's just like all I smelled like was just pine everywhere. Just like it was all over my clothes when I got back to the hotel. It was just like I couldn't wash it off of me for weeks. It was just like caked onto me.
It's funny because pine smell is like people like package that and put it in candles, and it's like pine, and you're probably like, never again, not ever again do I want that.
Nope. I'm good.
Oh God. I apologize if that came off weird with the number, because I know people have said they've had multiple, and I'm just like, oh, I'm just like, oh, maybe someone could come out with a soap that's like, have you been on Naked and Afraid? Buy this soap and you only have to do like 1 shower and it works effectively. I don't know. I'm sorry. Now I'm embarrassed.
I'm just screwing with you.
Okay,
I'm
cool.
just thinking about not at all the same thing. It just made me flash back to when I was a walker, and they were like on Walking Dead, and they were like, this stuff that we're putting on you will not come off. You're gonna need like this special like thing. I'm like, oh, thank you Thank you for telling me that now.
Nice.
Too late now.
Thanks. Yeah.
And okay, so okay, you touched on this earlier about your edit and them making you look not as experienced as you are and whatnot, but were you overall okay with your edit for your 21-day challenge and Frozen? And is there something that didn't make it on the show that you really wish did?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to break that up into the 21 and the Frozen because they both got different answers here. Okay, so for the 21, I wish they had shown one thing, and that was more food of what I was able to find around there. Because like foraging is one of my big things that I do. So for the amount of stuff that I brought back, I was like really proud of myself, and I was like, dude, this is going to be like a highlight of my episode. Not so much.
No.
Being out there, I mean, I found like black currants, wild raspberries, strawberries. Wineberries, raspberries. There were gooseberries out there. There were mulberries. I found huckleberry. I just like, I mean, outside of that, I mean, there's, oh God, we had frogs. We had, I'm drawing a blank. I can't.
You're good.
There was a lot more food out there than what they showed. And it just, so that was to me, it's like, well, I really wasn't suffering like that, but okay. So whatever. No, that was really it. I thought I had a really, really nice first edit on my 21. Back for Frozen though, I really wish they would have shown more of what like our dynamic was as a team. Yeah, I mean, Kai and Gabby are just wonderful people, and we had some really, really fun times. There was a lot of laughter, just a lot of silliness.
Yeah.
I didn't really feel like that came across though. It seemed like they more were trying to make it look like a really harsh, kind of difficult environment, and not so much, that. I don't know, they're taking out like the enjoyment out of it. It's like, okay, well, it's so tough. Look at what they have to go through. But then they don't show on the opposite side, well, look what we've accomplished because we've suffered so much. It's like, this is what we have to offer. And so that part I wish they would have shown a little bit more. I was
more of a balance.
Yeah, I was really proud of the shelter we made. I thought that was amazing. We were significantly warmer than the other groups. And just, I don't think it was because we worked any harder. I just think, just everything came together. Our team communicated really well together. We had the proper amount of experience, and we fed off of each other. There was zero drama whatsoever, and I felt like we communicated really well. And we're an effective team. Had it not been in Montana, I mean, we potentially could have went significantly longer. But again, that came down to med checks, and just it is what it is.
Curse you, med checks. So, going back to the cold Montana wilderness, was being alone, or this is going to the 21-day challenge when you were alone after Sam left, was being alone in the cold Montana wilderness mentally draining, and how were you able to keep yourself motivated through the challenge?
Well, okay, well, I just have to double back to what I said before. There was nothing in my mind that was ever going to get me to quit. No scenario was ever going to be too difficult for me to handle. Being alone was more boring than anything. Mentally taxing. And sure, I had a lot of work to do, but again, for the first time ever, like the only person that was going to be responsible for my success or failure was me. It was a new concept, and I was ready to take it on. Pass or fail. I mean, everything was on my shoulders. Thankfully, I came out on the end a better person for doing it.
Yeah.
And congratulations for getting through it. And I love the story about like looking up at the sky and there's so many stars out there. And I thought it was cool how like once you built your shelter after Sam left, it didn't seem like you needed to change anything to it. It's like, oh, here's this nice little shelter and no changes. Oh, some branches are on fire, but it's fine. Everything's good. Well, and you had a nice little view.
Brush fire waiting to happen. I mean, pine trees, literally. They're filled with some smells like turpentine, like all the
super flammable
pine pitch.
Oh.
Ooh.
Yeah, it goes up really quick. Like, if you ever seen those videos of Christmas trees going up, how quickly they
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Same concept. And I was living in one of those. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
It was really bad. Oh, hey, you know what? That is another thing I wish they would have said. Shown. I had a roommate.
Oh.
I had a little chipmunk that came to visit me.
Oh, that sounds adorable.
His name was Bill.
Oh,
that's so cute.
That's adorable.
I'm just imagining you like chatting to Bill and exchanging life stories.
Bill talks like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yes.
I don't understand for the life of me why Sam wanted me to throw shit at this freaking chipmunk earlier on, but it's like, okay.
Oh.
Even if we were to hit the chipmunk, okay, it's literally like a mouthful each. This isn't worth it, but okay. So here we go. Reason I was throwing, background coming into there, like to do axe throwing. So that came across. So it's like, all right, yeah, I could probably hit something.
Interesting.
Again, didn't work out, but why am I throwing shit at a chipmunk? This is stupid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I can only assume it was one of those that we were throwing out earlier that came to visit me. I was about 50 yards away from that shelter there. Yeah, little guy came to visit me every morning.
Oh.
Goofy cartoon voice.
Oh.
Just Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, I'm picturing him singing like Alvin and the Chipmunks.
You're in a pine forest, so he's singing Christmas songs. Mariah Carey song from the '80s. Anyway, yeah. Sorry, sidetrack. Okay. Because in that episode, it doesn't really give context as to why you're throwing stuff. It's just like, oh, look, a chipmunk, and then it has you like holding stuff. But I didn't know that Sam was the one that's like, go throw stuff. But
well, she spotted a chipmunk, so it's like, oh, okay. So here we go. Let's see what we can hit with it. Sure, why not?
Understood.
So, I don't know. I mean, it was like, okay, so what do we do? Do we wait and build a trap till they go away, or do we, each grab something and let's see what happens? What's the worst that could happen? No, we missed. Oh, okay, I'm okay with that. Best case scenario, we would have had a snack. So
a nice little
snack. You live, you learn.
Yeah.
Or that just reminds me of the Kalahari cold front episode where they got like a mouse or something, and Jacqueline is just like eating, and she's like, oh, it's so gross. But I'm sure after a while being hungry, it's just like, oh yay, food finally. But I don't know. And so also kind of going, this is like a dual question of where it relates to your 21 and your Frozen. Why, or just your personal opinion, why do you think producers paired you and Sam together? And why do you think they paired you and Kai and Gabby together? What do you think what are, in your own opinion, what do you think their motivations were for both your partnerships?
All right, so I'm going to make a joke here before I give you my serious answer. The first one, they didn't know any better. The second one was an apology.
Oh gosh, but I feel like that's true, but it's a joke, everyone. He said it was a joke.
No, I really don't know. No, Dave's story actually did say something about this. When we were leaving, as I was leaving Frozen, we did get to talk for a few minutes about that. And he said, Sam was not that person when they had interviewed. That was a completely different person, like character, that came out. And they weren't, prepared for that. That was just not something, that they'd seen coming. Had somebody that destructive, been like out of the gate, I don't know that they would have gotten through. Who knows? But yeah, that was just... Yeah, I think that was a prime example of what can happen, we see, like, I think when we walk around on a daily basis, we get to see most people on our best behavior. Now, what I mean by this, not like we're trying to be like model citizens, that's not the context I mean. I mean, it's like, generally speaking, most people have had a decent night's sleep or an okay, probably had breakfast, more than likely they've had, a cup of coffee or something to drink, just something, right, to get them going through the day.
Yeah.
When you see people out there on Naked and Afraid challenges, you might have, let's say, 1,000 bug bites on you. You're not going to sleep more than maybe an hour, maybe 2 for the next 3-4 days. You're going to be extremely dehydrated, and you know what? We're not going to let you eat anything either. So now let's see your attitude.
Yeah.
Okay, so you really can't take things personally out there to help people change. It's just you can never tell how you're going to react, and unfortunately, in Sam's, she had a lot of unresolved stuff that came to the surface really quickly when all her comforts went away, and I don't think it was something anybody was prepared for.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, just yeah, being out there really changes people, and that's another thing people need to know. Like the what you see on the TV might not be how they are in real life, so maybe a little bit of breathing room here. Not
True.
saying forgive everything she says, but like give some people the benefit of the doubt and
Oh,
whatnot.
sure, sure. Yeah, but then coming back for Frozen, I mean, just a completely different scenario. Now, prior to getting on there, so I only had 2 days' notice. I didn't even know anything was going on, so I was completely clueless. I heard little rumors for the cast, but I mean, as far as official things go, no emails, no correspondence. So I'm just like, oh, okay. But it was kind of cool to talk about, people behind the scenes. It's just like, oh, I heard they're doing something new. Oh, did you hear they're doing this? Oh, I think it might be this or this. It's just so the gossip wheel is just crazy. It's like, for all you know, it's like you could be talking to one of your best friends. It's like one day, and it's like they've got an automatic post to come up. It's like, oh, wait a minute, I thought you were, gone for the last, week or two or whatever. And it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're still posting. So it's a constant like mind game thing. It's really crazy, but it's so cool.
Yeah.
But no, so I was really, really genuinely worried coming into that for the second round. Until I actually got there and found out who was going there on the Frozen roster itself. That was my biggest fear. I did not know who I was going to get paired with, what was going to happen. It was really terrifying. And I'm a little apprehensive on if that ever happens again, if I ever go out. I don't know. A partner is really a wild card for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, thankfully, yeah, I mean, when I got to meet Gabrielle and Kai, I truly could not have asked for a better pairing.
Oh.
They're just, and again, I use this a lot when I talk about certain people, but just at their core, they're just really wonderful people. They're extremely humble, they're knowledgeable, and they're just caring and just compassionate individuals. They care more about other people's safety and well-being than oftentimes their own. And that's not something you see in this world a lot. It's extremely admirable. I mean, I look at this like, okay, many, many years before I met either one of them or even said hello on, like a messenger or a Facebook group, just these two like really, really strong women I look up to. Gabby, she came from a fan challenge, like she conquered, all the way through her, XL. It's just a real legend, in my opinion. I mean, Kai, she was there at the very beginning, her with Billy in Louisiana. I just heard like she came back, she did the shark special, and it's just like a true bushmaster. I mean, she lives out there in the Aussie, like plains or whatever you want to call them. And she's out there doing this kind of stuff as a norm.
Yeah.
It's really, well, for lack of better words, I was kind of intimidated. I mean, they're both extremely well versed in what they do, and they're good at it. And to me, coming in there, I wanted to pull my weight, and a lot of it really was me getting, in my own head, and it shouldn't have been. I mean, they've never given me any reason whatsoever to think like, I wasn't a valued part of that team. They were very encouraging. They were very helpful. Like I said, I could not have asked for better people. So yeah, it was a privilege to come back and be able to work with those two. So it was a very different scenario for my first challenge.
You've had like both ends of the spectrum.
Amen.
So for your next challenge, there's going to be a neutral person where you're just like, hello, we have these things to do today. Okay, cool. Let's go do them. This is fine.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I would hope so. But it's silly to say, but I can only hope. And again, if I get to come back, I can only hope it's somewhere a little warmer. I am so tired of these gold challenges.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine.
It's just, I mean, I'll go anywhere, but again, it's just, I'm so sick of the ice. Really.
Yeah.
But now they're going to be like, oh, we're going to take you to the other end of the spectrum, and now you're going to be in 80 to 90 degree weather somewhere in Africa, because there seems to be a lot of Africa.
Oh, come on. What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, don't say that.
Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh,
God. The producers are like, sorry.
No, so there's always been a long-standing rumor in Naked and Afraid cast now. So there are a couple different places that are supposedly unbeatable. First off was the Montana one. That's kind of been debunked. But then there's the other one in Mexico, down in Baja.
Oh, Devil's Canyon.
Devil's Canyon.
Yeah.
So this is taking on 4 people now. 4.
Christopher James.
Yeah, 4 people. So for me personally, I know like the warm weather is like that's a thorn in my side. So to be able to take on something that people say can't be beaten for something that personally would be like, just the hardest challenge, I really want it. Really, really want that. It's just,
oh gosh,
I know we don't get any kind of say in, who gets to come with us or even where we're going and stuff like that. But, if anybody out there from production is listening, I hope you guys hear this. Don't forget about Sarah, back from Frozen. Sarah Burkett.
yeah.
She was out with Waz and Jake. She is still hoping for another redemption too. So if you guys hear this, please don't forget about her, dude. But like I said, how cool would that be to do a double redemption with that? I'd love that.
You might have to fight Chris for that because he wants redo Redemption in Devil's Canyon too. So I'm just imagining it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna be the first ones coming back, and then everyone meets and it's like, and then it's like the Spider-Man meme where it's like, you, what are you doing here? Get out of Devil's Canyon. This is my spot.
Get out of Devil's Canyon.
Yeah.
My canyon.
That reminds me of in Chiapas, Mexico, where they had Trent, Sarah, two other individuals, and then Shanika and her partner, and Shanika was the only one of those 6 to make it. So I'm sure they're gonna. So hopefully production will hear this and be like, who do we choose?
There's a lot of a lot of untapped potential, really. Even in the U.S., there's not enough America-based episodes. And I stand like behind this as a belief. We should really get people excited about our nation. It's like, let's talk about something you want to go out towards Yosemite or out towards Montana and Yellowstone. Just some like really big places. It's like well known. It's like, whoa, this is like the kind of what it's really like in that rugged kind of outback. It's like, I mean, even they tried to show you a little bit in the Smoky Mountains down in Tennessee. It just could have been really, really cool. But again, there's so much like they could really show, and just I'm hoping to see a little more diversity in the upcoming years.
Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful places in America that I think we just like forget about. Like, oh yeah, we have cool mountains over there.
They went to the mountain section in like this country, but not the American side of the mountains. Why wouldn't they come here?
Right.
But I'm sure they're filming some stuff right now. Well, I know you said they're not filming XL, but I'm sure eventually when they start filming again, they'll find some place to scout.
Or they probably will. Like I said, so to the best of my knowledge anyway, they're not really filming right now. I think it's like a break time. But again, you know what? What do I know?
Yeah. I need to find where this whole rumor mill is, because no one on Reddit says anything about potentially this or potentially that. It's just always, we don't like this person, or we love this person, or it's basically we love Joe and we hate these people. That's what I see on Reddit a lot. Because Joe's amazing, everyone.
Okay, so like 99% of the rumor mill all comes from people saying, well, I heard this, but they won't cite their sources. So it's like, oh, okay, well, do you believe it? Don't you? How many versions has this been now since people started this? Is it just looking for attention? You never really know. So it's just, it's fun to kind of listen and just kind of sit back and hear all the stuff. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. But again, it's neat when it turns out to be like some level of truth. But at the other times, it's like when like the date rolls around, it's like, oh, this should have happened. And it's like, wait a minute, something airs and has nothing whatsoever like, what people were saying. And it's like, huh. Well, how did you talk about, you're on an island, with sharks, and you people were talking about, a moon landing, whatever, like something so drastically different. Just like, you just kind of shake your head and it's like, all right, okay. It's like, you never really know what to believe out there and what's true and what's not.
I was just going to say in like 30 years when they have like Naked and Afraid on the moon, that's going to be sick.
Oh my God. Well, which is going to happen first? Naked and Afraid on the moon or Naked and Afraid musical? Because I think you brought this up somewhere where you wanted a musical, and I'm like, but why would that be a good idea? Because it would be so cool. And I think I commented, I said that Hugh Jackman should play Stephen Lee Hall Jr. or Zac Efron should play Stephen Lee Hall Jr. because they're kind of a big deal kind of thing. And I also want to know what the plot of this musical would be. Is it like we're going on a challenge or we're back from our challenge? But I don't.
I was just doing it to kind of spark up some interest. Saying, I don't know. I'm always tired of seeing the same commented things online. It's like, okay, who's your favorite person? Where would you want to see? Who's going where next? And it's just like, okay, let's change it up a little bit. So that's why I threw that out there.
I'm waiting for the Naked and Afraid horror movie where like there's like an XL challenge, but then there's a monster trying to eat everyone. It's like, who will survive? Kind of that's different, I guess, right?
I think there's a space in the market for like a Bigfoot crossover movie.
Bigfoot's just like, what's going on here? And everyone's just running and screaming because Bigfoot is misunderstood. I don't know.
Yeah, he just made like a zombie movie. Yeah, you know, it's a challenge. All of a sudden, Gary gets bit by something, starts going around eating people.
But you don't realize it at first because you're like, this is normal Gary behavior. But then he starts trying to like bite the people, and you're like, okay, Gary, this is fun. Gary, why is he turning green? Gary, this is not Gary. I would watch that movie. But okay, so going back to the questions, they're not going to be unfortunately, I didn't think of like there's like one fun question, so we're going back to serious mode now, so I apologize for that. So what did you learn from being with Sam for 11 days, whether it be about yourself or about her, or just like interacting with individuals like her in that moment?
So this is actually a really simple answer. Honestly, what I've learned after the entire experience was over, kindness is a choice.
Yeah.
When you're out there in that kind of scenario, everything that you're going through, you know, your worst parts, they want to come out. And it's very easy to let them. You can be whichever kind of person you want to be. You want to be hangry, you want to be, you know, just miserable at the world. Okay. And everybody would understand. You know, it's just, I never hit that point. You know, it's just, there was no reason not to have at least the decency to be around somebody and like just show them, you know, courtesy, you know, respect, you know, just kindness even. And again, it's because something that I wanted to receive myself. So I'm going to give it outwards. You know, no matter what we were going through, it's just, there was no reason why I couldn't. I mean, just no justifiable reason why I shouldn't, you know, because everybody deserves it. You know, I get it. But
yeah,
again, you know, that was the point of mental strength for me. It's just that was, I'm capable of doing a lot more than I gave myself credit for. And I think that was really the pivotal moment when I learned that.
That is a good lesson to have. And I'm sorry that you had to see it the hard way in your scenario, even though we talked about like giving people benefit of the doubt and all that jazz. But again, this is why I call you the saint of naked and afraid. And another
no, I get upset and angry just like anybody else.
What?
Pick your battles.
Okay. Well, we did see, or there was a tense moment during your episode, and that was the moose encounter. Can you please tell us about like being there when the moose was like, "What up, Joe?" and you were like, "No."
Oh, okay, yeah. So that sequence in my head lasted like a lot longer than what we got to see on TV.
I can imagine.
So, like, you see me walk off camera at the very beginning of it. The crew had already gone for the day. I'm just kind of minding my business, you know, I'm going to the bathroom, come back here, and I turn, and as soon as I look up, I see a moose just kind of staring at me. I'm just like, oh, shit. So I had never seen anything like that large in my life before. I've seen different stuff, things that like, you know, sportsman shows like Cabela's and whatnot, or like Bass Pro, but I've never seen something like up close alive that wasn't, you know, stuffed. So for me to see something about 20 feet away was just like, I'm dumbfounded. I mean, it's an 1,100 pound animal just staring at me like, what the hell are you, kind of thing. So I was told, and just again, I don't know if I did the right thing or not. But one of the tactics was, you know, if you see something, make yourself as large as possible. You know, just make a whole lot of noise, you know, stand your ground, never run, you know, just, okay. So I started waving my arms, you know, yelling, screaming, you know, just hollering. And just all the while, it's like, oh my God, it's just like, I'm glad I just went to the bathroom because this would have been really embarrassing on TV.
Oh no. My goodness. That moose was very nice to wait until you were done to be like, hello, How are you? This is my moose face. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah. So the moose clearly didn't understand what kind of week I just had. You know, so I wasn't going anywhere. But no, honestly, I don't think he really cared that I was there. He's just like, oh, okay, person. All right, yell, scream, whatever. I'm leaving. Yeah, he was so much larger than I was. He didn't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad I just decided to like run away in that scenario. But yeah, I'm sure I'm sure experts would have been like, oh yeah, no, he did everything perfectly. Just make yourself bigger. Just
no.
Oh, never mind.
It was actually a really stupid decision to come to find out.
Oh.
We were about 2 weeks shy of the rut starting in Montana.
Yeah, oh no.
That would be mating season. Yeah, that moose could have potentially been like just going insane with testosterone, and that could have been extremely dangerous.
No.
I did not know that at that time, and there was no one there with me to tell me otherwise.
But you did your best, and it worked out.
Yeah, and now we know. Just no rut season and plan accordingly.
I reiterate too, because a lot of people say, "Oh, everything is staged or naked and free. It's not real." Well, I'm sorry to say, I'm going to burst your bubble here and say that was as real as it fucking comes.
You would like it to be less real.
That could have potentially been fatal. Yes. You can't predict what a wild animal's going to do. I mean, like a 1,200 pound animal. It's just like, okay, is if it wants to charge, there's nothing I could do. I can't outrun him. I certainly can't outpower him. So it's like, oh, well, okay. Well, I hope at least the camera's rolling. What else am I going to do?
Yeah, that sounds horrifying.
No, but it is as real as it comes out there. It really is.
Yeah, I'm happy you're okay and that it went away, but thankfully I'm sure when they saw the footage they were just like, oh, but yeah, glad you're okay.
I am happy they gave me a brown pelt.
Yes. Okay, so if you were asked by producers to pick 2 survivalists to do a 21-day or 40-day challenge with, a location for said challenge, and the 3 survival items for this challenge, who, where, and what would you choose? I thought this was really clever.
Like a build your own survivalist challenge?
Exactly. Yeah.
Build my own perfect scenario challenge. Okay. Sarah Burkett, Matt Garland as my partners. We'd be going into the high desert of Oregon. 3 items: pot, fire starter, and a blade.
Awesome.
That team and those basic items, we could survive indefinitely.
Nice.
I'm confident in saying that.
They're just like, hey guys, you can extraction was 5 days ago. Do you want to? And it's like, nah, we'll just stay here for a little bit. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like, no, we're good.
And they're just like, okay, we'll just switch out the camera people real quick. We weren't. This is not on the shooting schedule. Okay, bring in new people. It's all good.
No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna think, but that would be an incredible team. Oh my god. Yeah. I don't know that there's anything we couldn't accomplish. That would just
like the Avengers.
Oh, that would be cool. But
and you're with, or you have it's Bare Bones Bushcraft. You're all a part of that group, correct? With
That's
Tara too. Okay. Shout out to Bare Bones Bushcraft and all you cool people.
Yeah, we are Bare Bones. So it's myself, Matt Garland, Tara Short, Jesse Cabruz, and Sarah Bartell. Yeah, we teach all over the U.S.
That's cool. Awesome. And you have an IG page for that, correct?
Yes, we do. It's directly on our Facebook page. You can find us at Bare Bones Bushcraft. It's all one word.
Understood. So everyone out there, if you hear this, follow Bare Bones Bushcraft on Instagram and follow everyone on Facebook, but don't be weird. Yeah, that I feel that I shouldn't have to say that, but don't be weird. I don't want to be responsible for people being weird towards you.
We've been on the internet enough. We're like, we don't want to say this, but we do sometimes. We have to sometimes.
And my next question kind of relates back to what we were discussing earlier. So during your challenge, you talked about being adopted and how that affected you growing up. And flash forward a few years later, you get to reunite with your birth mother. What was that journey like? And do you still keep in contact with your mother's side of the family?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wow.
Whatever you're comfortable saying.
Yeah, sorry.
Obviously.
For the longest time, it's just I don't even know how to word this. Adoption really wasn't that big of an issue for me growing up. I don't know. I was pretty upset when I was younger, but I don't know. I think that was something that I got over fairly quickly. You see, I used to look at it like this. Being adopted, I didn't really understand the circumstances behind it. It's like, why would you ever give up your kid? It's like in my mind, there was no reason why, any parent would do it. Again, I didn't understand, why everything had happened, background details. But this, at the time, just me being a little kid, like, what did I do wrong? Like why didn't mom and dad want me, kind of thing. And that was something that I held on to for a lot longer than I should have. But again, just once I got a little older, it's just, I tried to push it back. I didn't deal with it. I didn't accept it. It was just like, I just didn't want to think about it. It was too hard of a, thing to kind of deal with. So, my 18th birthday, I get a letter from the adoption agency. Mom wanted to reach out to me and, get in contact with me again. I was not ready to. I was kind of procrastinating. I was still really angry, I don't know. So it's like, I didn't want to write anything mean. So instead I just didn't write anything at all. But shortly after that, though, that's when Dad came down with leukemia. As soon as he started fighting with that, it's just, you know what, this is my parents. These are, this is my family. I don't need anyone else. They didn't want anything to do with me before. So why now? It's just, that was my mentality. So pushed it off. After he had passed, Mom moved down to Delaware. And a lot of the adoption stuff, like that contact information we had, was lost at that point. Had I wanted to contact, I wouldn't even know where to start. So that opportunity was gone. About 4 years later, that's when Mom passed, when she got lymphoma. So yeah, my whole thought process was like, I don't understand this. It's just, I had parents and I was given up, and then I had another parent, set of parents who really wanted me, and now that feeling of being alone was something I can't really, I can't describe that. But about a year later, I had my son, so I really had a reason just to go on. So I'm thinking to myself, I can reach out, I can do something, I can try and find this other piece of me, maybe kind of fill in that void. But I couldn't.
Yeah.
I tried a couple different adoption agencies. I didn't know where to turn. So nothing happened. Nothing at all for another, almost 20 years after. Yeah, wow. Almost 20 years after the very first time I put into anything for that. Yeah, since, oh geez, now that's really putting that into perspective. I had no idea that's how many years had passed. All right, sorry, I'm getting completely sidetracked here. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh no,
you're good.
I apologize.
Yeah, so that's when I got onto my 21-day challenge. Okay, so at the very end of this, we did a recap. It said, like the survivalist check-in, I think that's what it called. Like a where are they now type thing. And I'd put on there, I'm finally ready. I want to find my birth parents. It's been long enough. If there's anyone out there, just let them know I'm looking for them. I'm not ready to give up. Well, nothing happened to that. I don't know. A year later, got asked for Frozen, and they started showing different, trailers, I suppose. Yeah, and somebody saw that like little recap thing. It was on a Facebook thing that I shared, and they reached out to me. Yeah, they were a social worker from the Atlanta area. They dealt with specifically reuniting families who had been separated, whether it was adoption, divorce, or whatever, just reuniting families. Yeah, and she helped me through the whole process. She filed with a couple different agencies. Yeah, a couple months later, yeah, I got the message from South Korea. And this honestly this kind of broke my heart to hear this. my biological mother hadn't given up on me for almost 23 years. She had kept going to the adoption agency every couple of months and asking if there was any kind of new update.
Oh.
So she never gave up on me.
Oh. That's
and
beautiful.
So all that time I spent being angry, it was for nothing. So I felt like a real jackass after that.
Oh no.
No, but now we talk pretty regularly, and just I don't know, I got a lot of closure that I didn't think I'd ever have.
Thank you for sharing that. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, it's a story I feel like I should really be sharing with a lot of people. Just that was a big moment, and I hope if Discovery ever allows me to come back, it's just something I want to share with the world.
Yeah, that's
I never
beautiful.
thought I was going to find a family again, and just I did, and it was because of them. I mean, what more of a personal story can you say? Just this show was the reason I got this opportunity.
That's probably the most amazing story we've ever heard coming out of any kind of reality TV, or honestly anything we've talked about.
Yeah, where it just has this kind of happy ending where after all this time you're able to reconnect, and that's a nice little moment to happen because of the show. So I'm happy you were able to reunite with your
It's like this kind of stuff just doesn't happen, it's like only in the movies type thing. So it's like, I mean, I feel just like your average kind of guy. For something like this to happen to me is just it's pretty darn amazing.
Yeah, I'm really glad that happened for you.
Yeah, we're very happy for you in this and you're a great person, so it's good to have that positive moment happen and all that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'm really trying. It's just ugh.
And so I don't think any more of my questions are going to be that heavy, so
we got it out of the way.
Yeah, I apologize for bringing that moment of to this, but thank you so much for sharing your story, and I'm happy that you were able to reunite. And speaking of Excel, that's what my next question is about, but it's, if you were asked to do another Excel, what would you do to prepare, and would you prefer a frozen redemption or just a general 40-day challenge?
Well, okay, so I don't know. I'm pretty open to any location. I wouldn't say no to anywhere. If I had a preference, it would not be a frozen. But again, the warmer you get, the more bugs you're going to get. So I think it's a trade-off. You either get bitten up or you get hypothermia. So
ooh,
that one.
That's not funny, but that's just
nervous laughter.
Nervous. Ooh.
Yeah, just which
it really is what it is. Here's your options.
Yeah, reality.
And just really, it doesn't matter to me if it's a 21, 40, you name it. I just really, at the end of the day, want an opportunity just to be able to tell that story, whatever it is.
You hear that, Discovery? Give them the chance. And also something that I wanted to know is, when you're on your challenges, do they take photos of you every day? Because I know when they're like, this is the survivalists on their first day and this is them on the last day, do they do like every morning they're like, we're going to take a photo, or is it just first and last day kind of thing?
Yeah. So typically what happens when you're doing your OTF or on the fly interview, they'll just take a quick snapshot just at the end of the show. They do some kind of morph shot. So it's they'll usually do a quick fast forward showing your transition. So it's one of those shots they do. Yeah. So that is a daily thing.
Oh, okay. Are there some days where you're like, oh, I don't know, my hair might not look good in this shot, can we wait a little bit, I need to put a brush through?
No, not at all. Oh. I don't think they'd even take it seriously if we tried.
They'd be like, ha, yeah, here's your picture.
I'm suffering right now, but it's fine. And
yeah, that always amazes me too, because there have been some people on the show over the years that have just flawless hair and they just look fabulous the entire time. Other people, after 20 minutes, it's they look like somehow, that purple dude on Despicable Me,
Oh gosh, the evil minion. Oh yeah. I remember there are some times where individuals come in with their nails done or eyeline extensions, and people are like, how did that last 40 days in the jungle or 21 days in the jungle? And I'm like, so what you're saying is those individuals need to advertise those eyelashes hello.
It's a brand sponsorship.
Yeah. Exactly. Hey, do you want eyelashes like mine, even though I was in the jungle for a few weeks? These. But
that is fantastic. That would work.
Yeah. I would buy if you're like, my eyeliner lasted through the jungle for like, forget like waterproof, breakup proof, whatever they say on the packaging now. It's just like, yeah, that it's in the jungle proof.
Exactly. Yeah. So if any of the survivalists hear that who got like eyeline extensions, then find the brand and advertise. So the next bunch of questions are like more general questions about, or it's not like specifically like 21 or XL, but this is now the general questions going on. And so I remember on our Facebook Live we talked about how, or you asked me what I thought of Last One Standing, but now it's time to turn the tables and ask you, what were your thoughts of Last One Standing as a concept? What were your thoughts of the actual season, and what would be your strategy if you were to be on?
All right, so Last One Standing, as a personal thought, again, I don't represent anyone else here except myself. I completely hated it.
Ooh.
And I'm going to tell you this for the simple reason of the drama. Now, understandably, if there wasn't any kind of social dynamic, it wouldn't be fun to watch. Okay, I'm not saying that. If people just want to see like a tutorial on how-do bushcraft type thing, no, just look on YouTube and that's all you'll find is like, here's how to do something, and it's just a step by step. No, that's not what the show's about. That's not what I want. No. My point is, like, if you're talking about a Last One Standing scenario, how they marketed it made it, it wasn't the best survivalist. No, like it was the best strategist. So it's just I wasn't really happy with how that was presented. Because overall bushcraft skills, it's just like, okay, well, you could have done, X, Y, Z, and just like, the best ones out of that could have advanced. Sure. I mean, I would have loved that, like 100% been behind it. Love it. But because they introduced, it's like, okay, well, now you can steal other people's items. You can, I don't know, just how it went down. I wasn't happy for, because it's just, as soon as you introduce money into any equation, no matter what it is, you're going to have a questionable content of people's characters from then. Are they doing this because it's like, it's a competition, we knew the rules going into it? Or is there something like, you know what, no, I'm doing it for the money kind of thing? It's like, I've always been like this, but now it's acceptable. So there was a lot of controversy, just like in front of and behind the scenes. It's just, it wasn't very well perceived or received by a lot of people, cast wise, because just, we'll look at it like this. Just, there's a vast majority of us that get together on a yearly basis. There are some really close relationships through there. I don't mean like, how do you put this, relationships, like friendships, you know what I mean? Really strong bonds that have been created through the years. And so to be put into a scenario where it's like, okay, so I'm going, I'm going out for these items. It's like, okay, well, I found an impala in a tree. Okay, I can either feed myself and I'll get through for the next, 2 weeks, let's say, or do I help out these other people, who I, legitimately have like an emotional, investment in, and help them, whereas they could come back and beat me later on. See, that kind of a moral dilemma, I don't care for. It's not something I personally ever want to be, thrust into. And just, I don't care for how certain people reacted. So it's just, I wasn't there. I didn't see it firsthand. I don't care for the portrayal. And that's about as nice as I can say.
Yeah. Yeah, Reddit and Facebook were just on fire with, just, I will describe it as burning garbage, because just the level of toxicity that was going on. And I'm just like, but then I catch myself, I wasn't like saying it online, but I was just like, this person's being manipulative. This person, it's like, but I'm just like, no, don't, just
yeah. I don't know. I mean, not bad people at all. Really, genuinely good people on the outside. In a scenario like that, I didn't care for it.
Yeah. What would be some of your suggestions to maybe changes to it? Or do you think that, or changes to it to where it's not as like, just, everyone for themselves, moral dilemmas? Or do you think they should just like, or should they get rid of it? Or what would you say would be some changes that they should make, in your opinion?
My opinion? Okay. Start out as teams and be tethered the entire time. I like that idea.
Yeah.
At certain points of it, if you make it to a certain day, you're able to change teams. I like that, but I like the thought that you're tethered to somebody. Items. I feel like items should be won, not found. So if you want extra like advantages for certain things, okay, earn them. I like the idea of not starting with much. I think that offers a challenge. It's something very unique to what they just did. But again, if you can steal someone else's, why should you put in the work? If you can just go over and it's just like, oh, you know what? They're going down to get water. I'm going to sneak into their camp. You know what? Nobody's here. I'm going to steal the knife. Nobody said you couldn't do it. You know, that's just a scenario, you know? So I don't particularly care for that. So the undermined kind of, nah, I didn't like that. So that I would eliminate. Yeah, you get an item, that's yours. You know, do with it as you wish. But the stealing stuff, didn't care for that at all. Yeah, and like those games and stuff they get set up for, like where they were finding those different maps and stuff like that, where they had to dig them up with the bones. You know, find your own damn trail. You know, if somebody's already on it, okay, keep going. You know, it's just, I mean, so where's the point in putting your work in for it if somebody's else already done it? You know, just, okay, oh, they're at 8, 9, okay, I'm going to, okay, yep, I'm going to take number 10. Sorry, go find another one. You know, that's not right. But again, there's nothing wrong with that in, you know, the rules, because there's nothing to say you can't do it. So I hated it. I mean, that scenario, I didn't care for it at all. It brought out some rather unsavory qualities in people's personalities that I didn't expect. And I don't care for.
Yeah.
And also to be like, oh, I could potentially, like, saying that to, or saying like, oh, I could toss their stuff in the river to camera is one thing, but being like, hey, your pot and stuff were right here, I could have thrown it in the river, like, say that to someone's face. It's just like,
yeah. Well,
but
there's nothing to say you can't do it.
Yeah,
you know, I really don't care for that kind of tactics. It's just not me. That's all. It works for some people. You know, it's just not my thing. That's all.
Yeah. They should have like a Survivor season where they're just having to be naked and afraid contestants there. So it's like the conniving can happen over there, and it's perfectly on brand with Survivor, but not with Naked and Afraid, and just the whole dynamics have all changed. But yeah.
Yeah, I really hope they actually, speaking of that, I hope they do another one of these Castaway things. I'm really enjoying this season because I'm loving the concept of it.
Yeah. And I'm just really happy that Andrew is there, because he's just, you know, like I commented on the photo of you and him, and I'm like, the wholesomeness. And if you didn't know, Andrew's from Kentucky. Sorry, I said that multiple times during the podcast, and Avery's like, he's from Kentucky. But yeah,
I was giving you a hard time.
Yeah,
he was one of the best ones that I ever made back in season 12.
Aww.
He's been one of my good buddies ever since. Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome. I'm just imagining you two on a challenge. It's just like, hey Joe, hey Andrew, how are you? I'm great. This is so great. Wholesomeness. But sorry, I'm getting off track.
I don't think they would ever put Andrew and I on the same challenge because, quite frankly, they're looking for people to suffer.
Oh.
The only thing people would suffer would be our dad jokes. It would be terrible.
Oh.
Or it's just like
he just has the most wonderful personality. It's just like, no matter what you put in his way, it's just like, you know what? It's okay. I can get through it. I'm okay. You're okay. You know, this is just part of it. All things will pass. And it's just knowing him on a personal level, you know, just his overall drive, and just like, okay, let me back up a little bit. So for many years, he had done a lot of different work with kids. It was like for Arbor Youth Services, I think it was called. I hope I got that correct. But just a lot of work, like helping kids that, you know, were displaced, let's say. So it's just, that can't be done by just anybody. You know, you have to have a special type of individual be willing to be like, you know what, I understand what you've went through. I'm going to help you. It's going to be okay. And to be there in that kind of support scenario, even knowing what that individual has been through, it's just like, I'm going to be your source of hope. I mean, that to me is just a pretty powerful statement, and just not a lot of people, I believe, just have that like selflessness kind of mentality. It's just like, you know what, I can't do XYZ. I can't, it costs too much. Like, what's going to happen to me? They worry about repercussions. Andrew's just got a good heart. He's always worried about the next person. I find the more and more I talk about this, it's just, I've got a lot of people in my life that are like that. And I feel like I gravitate towards really good people like that, really selfless individuals. They know what it's like to be on the other end of it. And, because of that and their experiences, they don't want to see anybody else go through it. So that's the way they are, why they are. We're all kind of bonded together like that.
That's really sweet.
But again, I don't think they'd ever put Andrew and I together. It's just, that'd be an episode.
Darn. Well, now I'm just imagining them being like, okay, Joe and Andrew, we're putting you on, but you need to tell these dad jokes. If you do not tell these dad jokes, we're going to separate you and you will be in separate camps. And you're just gonna be like, oh, come on, guys.
It would be too silly. I'm sure probably by the end there would be some kind of goofy naked afraid cheer we'd have going on.
Oh gosh. I remember when Andrew he was on the Oh Heck Nah podcast and he was talking about, if you look closely during during when he's talking about like his life and stuff, he's doing cartwheels and he's stuff. Oh yeah, I pulled something and it was sore for 2 days because I was a cheerleader and I was doing cartwheels. And I'm just like, oh, ow. Luckily he wasn't going to the challenge the next day. He's like, my back hurts.
Nice.
And that brings me to my next question is, have you listened or do you know Malou and Debbie from the Oh Heck Nah podcast? Because they're like one of 2 Naked and Afraid related podcasts that I've seen.
Yeah, we've spoken a couple times. Yeah, I've never been on there before, but yeah, I'm familiar with them. They put on a pretty good show.
Yeah, I enjoy hearing Malou talking about the survivalist and being like, oh, handsome Mike. And with it, oh, he shaved his beard. And I'm just like, well, I'm glad somebody can say these things because I feel like if I said it, then it'd be like, oh, that's weird. And I'm like, no, I'm just complimenting their hair. It's fine. But yeah.
Well, it was another one she got on me about the drinking water thing.
Oh.
Malou, I'm looking at you. It wasn't water.
Oh gosh, it was funny during the podcast when I was talking about you and drinking water. Spencer added a sound effect because Avery immediately was like, "Need to drink water."
Yeah, because as soon as you were like, somebody allegedly wasn't drinking water, I was like, I haven't drank water all this whole time we've been sitting here.
Stop being stubborn. Drink water.
And Spencer caught me in the moment of like, oh no, and just like drinking water. He's like, you think I'm gonna cut that out? No, I'm not. And I was like, damn.
See everyone, the editing. If someone else finds it interesting, they'll keep it in. Watch out.
Yep.
Oh, isn't that the darn? Well, worth of footage, and like you guys only get to see like maybe 40 some minutes out of it, and it's so wild how they edit everything down. It's just
I can imagine, yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes I've noticed that they reuse the same footage, and I'm like, you have hundreds of hours worth of footage, and you do the same clip over. Like I said with Jamie on Solo, they kept reusing like the same clip of him walking. I'm like, they have like 30 minutes, and this is what you choose. But I'm not an editor, and so there has to be, I don't know.
It's okay.
And sorry, don't worry, we're almost done. I'm sorry for like with all these questions.
Oh, you're good. I'm just rambling a little bit.
Please ramble. I want to hear what you have to say, Saint Joe. Okay, I'll stop.
Thinking to myself, it's like, if I do ever get to go out there again, I wonder who it would be with, because that's honestly my only concern. Like, one and only. That's the wild card I can't prepare for. I mean, if I get a location, okay, sure, I can test different skills, try different things as far as like learning about different methods or fire making, shelter building, stuff indigenous people did in the area, things of such, sure. But the partner is the one wild card that you have no control over. And that's always what worries me. Like, in the back of my mind, and I have no reason to believe they would do this, but I always think just somewhere, somebody had the thought, it's like, you know what? Maybe we should have a reunion between him and his first partner just to see. And you know what? Let's give him somewhere else, just a little more difficult, just to see if they can get him to crack. It's like, And
I know a lot of people are probably listening. They're like, "Oh no, that's ridiculous," but it's like, no, this is probably exactly what they're thinking, and hopefully,
good TV. If I completely lose it on somebody, that would have to be a very special circumstance.
Yeah. Oh god. Oh no, there's a producer that's like, huh? A challenge to be accepted? No, producers, don't do it. Don't do that to Joe. I swear, I'll be very upset if you do that. And I'm very intimidating.
I can find good in almost any situation. It's just, there's almost anyone out there you could put me with, and I'd be as happy as could be. If you know what? If it's that bad, I'm just going to outlast you. I'm going to piss you off to the point where you'll leave.
You'll tell the dad jokes.
Oh, nonstop. Oh, yeah.
All the dad jokes.
Okay, so...
I'm the devil, after all. You can't stand with me very long.
Oh, God. That was one of the moments where I'm just like, Sam.
Sam. So that scene was actually really, really cut down. That went on for somewhere between 8 to 10 hours. I don't have the exact time frame, but right about the time when the sun went down, we got into the shelter, and it just started like this. Sam would take her diary camera, start talking to it like a normal whatever type thing. And she's like, okay, you know what? You know what's really, really wonderful? A cheeseburger, like a bacon cheeseburger. That would be great with some fries and a side of, whatever. And just start going through this stuff. And then be like, you know what would also be really amazing? If this asshole over here would finally quit and tap out and go home. Then she turned to me.
No.
Are you quitting? And this would go on. Just this berating would just go on for hours and hours.
God.
So she'd put the camera down after about 20 minutes or so, take a little nap, get back up. I'm still there. Pick up the camera again, and here we go. This did not go well. It just went on and on and on. So when you finally see at the point where I'm speaking up, saying, you know what? I found raspberries. I was debating whether or not to share them with you. I was about as pissed off as I was going to get. It wasn't whatever. Yeah. So we had shared a little bit of like our backgrounds with each other through the past couple of days leading up to that. Yeah, she understood about my faith, let's say. So for that comment about the devil was just really, really, there was more to it, but it felt really personal.
Yeah.
I didn't understand it, and that's the one and only thing for the longest time I was really upset about, like genuinely upset, because it's just I felt like that wasn't, that wasn't earned. There were some other things that were said, but it's just that those are going to be buried on the cutting room floor. I don't even want to repeat certain things. But you guys did get to see the best possible edit that could have been. I'm certain of that. There's certain stuff they said was just never going to make it to air.
Oh Lord.
Nobody wanted to hear that.
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
Again, this is my only fear, that I'd get a really, tough partnership. And again, that was my only thing going into Frozen. I'm like, who could I possibly get? I don't want to do this again, kind of thing. But then when I got there, saw who the actual cast were on deck, it's like, I'm fine. I got nothing to worry about whatsoever. We're good. So, I mean, it really wouldn't have mattered who I was with out there. I really believe I could have found the best in anybody. I mean, sure, again, I had my hopes, but whatever. We all want to hang out with our friends.
Yeah.
Sarah and Joe for redemption. She seems like a great partner. I remember on Sarah's redemption episode, or this is just just random. I remember when Sarah's building a fish trap and she's there with Boulend and she's just building it, and he's like, so how does it work? And she's like, oh, the fish go in and they don't come out. Well, how do they not come out? They just don't come out. And he's like, but how? And she's just like, they just don't come out. That's how it works. And I'm just like, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, well, I'm like, I feel like in that scenario, it's just like, you can't just be like, well, if they go in and they have to smush themselves in, they can't like get to that size going out. But she's just like, oh, Boulend. And I'm just like,
yeah. Same thing with like, there was that apprehension about the snails too, because again, they can cause parasites if you don't cook them thoroughly. So, I don't blame her for not eating them, but yeah. Ugh. I don't care for bugs. Like, I'm okay with grasshoppers, but that's about it. Like the other, nope. Nope. Don't like black ants. They're kind of gross. Worms are gross. It's like, haven't found one I really, really enjoy. But like crickets and grasshoppers, like I said. So, okay, the grasshoppers I've had roasted. The crickets I actually have in like a powder for like a protein powder thing. So I don't know if I'd even count that for like eating bugs. But yeah. So those are the only kinds I actually remotely enjoy. I'm not touching anything else.
Someone's gonna just send you a package of like, here's some roasted these bugs, and you're just gonna be like, and I try that. Okay, if I'm on a challenge, I'll eat this. I heard scorpions are really good, but I've never had one. But I heard that some survivalists.
I would eat one of them. They're supposed to taste like sandy potato chips.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
that I could do. Maybe a tarantula.
Oh gosh. Oh, look at you, the adorable little. Okay, get on the fire. Get on the fire.
So, when are you two applying?
Oh gosh. Yeah.
You are so funny, Joe. But this isn't a dad joke.
Come on, I tell everybody this. How hard can it be? You're all maybe 40 minutes. You get commercial breaks. It's fine.
Yeah. Gabe looked genuinely scared.
As I told Taryn, or when Jamie was like, hey, when are you going on Naked and Afraid? I'm like, no. And I'm like, I'm crazy. And Tara's like, but we're all crazy. And I'm like, no. Sorry, I feel like I'm talking really fast. And I'm like, no, the producers will love me because I like to vent a lot. And they'll be like, he, we have your storyline. And I'm like, oh, so this on TV and just I would look terrible. All around.
I think my only one strength would be I've grown up in Atlanta summers, so like the heat. I'm better with the heat than most.
Now they're gonna send you to Montana.
Yeah, that's why I can never apply. They're gonna be like, she's not good with the cold.
That was another thing too why I really picked up on cold weather survival the most. See, I can't remember the exact quote who it was that said this. But they said the pinnacle of being a survivalist is being able to survive in the cold. Because if you can do that, you can survive anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And I did that, and it's like, okay, so the principles, the basic foundation of what you're looking at is going to be the same no matter where you go in the world. The shelter you're going to be in, if you can see outwards, like daylight, that means wind can get through, bugs can get in, and your heat can get out. So it's like, okay. If you're in the cold kind of thing, you want to keep yourself insulated, just like the same principles apply to anywhere you go. So if you keep yourself warm and you can get a good night's sleep, that is more valuable, I think, than just about anything else out there. Just being able to be rested and, away from the elements.
Yeah, that's true.
Still not going to apply, though. Oh, God. They can have me be a producer, but I can...
PA?
Well, I would say PA, but also I would just feel weird, just like, oh, okay, this is the show I'm on. But I'm sure after I get that, I could be thrown into the jungle and be a PA. That's the only thing. Maybe not a sound person, but the sound thing is the only other thing I kind of know how to do. This is me holding a boom mic, but but anyway, pivot. So. Oh, or this is a question that I added, but you said it was okay that I ask. In your first challenge, your hair was red, and your second challenge, your hair was purple. Does that mean when you dye your hair blue, that means you're going on a third challenge?
Okay, so for right now, you can see I have no hair. Yeah, so we'll get back to that in a minute, why I did that. But no, so the reason for dyeing my hair on the previous two challenges, so I didn't know exactly where we were going. So my thought was, if I can go somewhere, if I can make some cordage, all I have to do is cut some strands out of my hair, and I'm going to make myself some fishing flies. I was going to use a gorge hook and just, see what I can do. Neither location I was able to do that. The first one, a little behind the scenes thing here. So I actually did have some cordage there, which was kind of cool. I dug up some rootlets from some nearby trees and had about 4, maybe 5 feet worth of just some roots that I pounded down and like just twisted in and just made them, in my opinion, feel really strong how they were binded. So didn't do any fishing because, there really was none in the area. I was kind of playing around there. The stream wasn't right for it for some other reasons. So fishing wasn't an option. There was no crayfish in there. It was just really, really, really cold water that nothing was in. So I didn't get to use the fly fishing kind of technique there. Yeah, I mean, it was strategy going into it. Like I had hoped I was going to be able to use it for fishing. This didn't happen. But the cordage that I ended up using, though, I actually made myself a crossbow. Now, this never had made the edit because I could not figure out the trigger mechanism. I couldn't get it to work. But day 20, I was so bored out there. I had nothing better to do. I started whittling down some stuff. I took one of the trees that I'd knocked over for the shelter, made it nice and smooth, made it like the closest to a bow that I could, took another one, overlapped it, bound them together with the cordage that I had, and literally it was a functioning crossbow with large branches that I could fire, but I had no trigger to it, so it's literally me just holding back on a bow and holding a stick. So it was really cool to see, but again, one of those things that never made the edit because it didn't work. It was cool though. I had nothing better to do. I never thought I was going to be so bored. That's the one thing they don't tell you out there. You know, just you worry about your priorities, but then it's like, then what do you do? There's a lot of downtime. I had nothing better to do with myself. We had a couple days to go, so I'm just like, all right, I'm going to try this. Just if it works, cool. It'll look really cool on TV. If not, whatever.
Now I'm seeing, now I'm imagining a survivalist is like, are you bored while on your Naked and Afraid challenge? Try this. And they like come up with like a fun game that you can play where there's like rocks or sticks involved, or like, if you're in this environment, use this and you'll never be bored again.
Yeah.
But
well, I mean, yeah, I'm sure I probably could have like made Mancala or something, but you don't want to play by yourself.
Yeah. Fair.
And when you talked about building the crossbow, my first thought was when Sarah built the crossbow in XL6, and I remember them struggling with the trigger mechanism, but they were able to find it, and so that's cool to see like the stuff that you can build out there.
Yeah, like my perfect scenario, and like just I wouldn't know what to do with myself if I was in a place where bamboo was prevalent. Like I'd be making all sorts of shit. It's just like that is like chilling in the forest.
I've seen people like build stuff in bamboo.
Some kind of dart gun.
Dart gun? Would be really cool.
Oh, I'm just imagining you like pretending to like hunt the producers or cameraman. It's just like, oh no, they saw me. But oh, and this is a listener question that I'm not going to say who sent, or a listener sent in this question. I'm not going to reveal who they are because this is a very embarrassing question, but I thought I'd ask it anyway for humor's sake. But I'll tell you who it was later. But
okay, Gabe, what do you want to know?
Okay. No, I swear.
A viewer submitted question.
Everyone's just like, oh, it's gonna be gross. I'm just kidding. But working in the wild can be stressful. How is catering like on location?
Catering? You eat whatever you want.
You mean you can't go to like the craft service table and pick something up? You just eat whatever you want from there? That was the motivation behind this question.
Well, I see.
I mean, when you're on location, you're given a PA assigned to you, and if you want something, you just say, can I get this? And eventually they get it. I mean, as long as it's not like an outlandish request, I mean, they're very good to get as far as what you can get. It may not always be like the most prompt because, there's one person and they might be serving, let's say an XL, like 12 people or whatever. You don't know the scenario what they're, being given. But yeah, they have somebody there that gets you anything you need.
Oh, okay.
That's good.
That's good. And
they treat you really well.
That's really good, actually.
Yeah, I hopefully no survivalists have been like, oh yeah, my PA was a jerk, or hopefully a PA isn't like, my survivalist was a jerk. Because we've heard stories of people on set.
Every time I went out there, I had the same guy actually, a guy named Chase. Quite a few people I know have had him before. It's a real upstanding guy, just a really, really decent dude.
Yeah, bless PAs. They're really the heroes of set.
Yes.
Now it makes all the difference too, because I mean, it's like you're in a good mindset before you even start. Because you got good people around you to take care of you.
That is good. That is really good.
And my next question is, I remember you and a bunch of other Naked and Afraid survivalists went to Port City Comic-Con in Wilmington, North Carolina. How was that for you? And will there be a chance of any of Naked and Afraid survivalists at Dragon Con or having their own panel there?
Okay, so when we went down to North Carolina, it was actually a lot of fun going down there, but the overall turnout really wasn't what was expected.
No.
Now, see, when I pictured Comic Cons, I'm thinking, just like what you see on the internet, like San Diego, New York, Philadelphia, some of the bigger stuff. So it was a little bit of a shock. Overall turnout wasn't really super, but the experience was nice, though. Did get to speak to a couple of fans that came up to the booths. Got to meet a couple of people who I only see maybe once a year, which is really, really, like, for me, that was amazing. And just, getting to meet a lot of new people that I wouldn't have any other reason, like for any other way wise would. So it wasn't bad. I would definitely be open to more appearances. Yeah, it's real. Like I'm really as down to earth as you're going to get. I am just your average, Joe. Yeah, just really easily approachable. So if anybody wants, me to go out anywhere, sure, just reach out, please. Don't be hesitant. I'll go anywhere.
So
like I've
so here
been about charity stuff before. It's like when we were talking about the bare bones thing from a little earlier.
Yeah.
Almost all the work we do is charity work.
Oh, that's great.
We do a lot of stuff for veterans down in Florida. We've done some
That's amazing.
rescue stuff. That was out in Arkansas. So yeah, we're really everywhere.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you for your charity work and doing all that.
And we got a gift, we're not gonna waste it.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna turn to camera and be like, or I think this is my camera. Discovery and Dragon Con book Naked and Afraid Survivalists and have them have appearances so they can see each other more than once a year. But I feel like I have so much power right now, but
again, they watch every single week. I know they. I feel it in my bones.
Bare bones. Bush guy.
Yeah. You're in Atlanta, right?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so they got Blade Show down there. That's a pretty big pull for a lot of people every year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think EJ talked about going to Blade Show before, and I think Melissa goes there. I can't remember.
Yeah, but it's not really so much us exhibiting. That's a lot of knife makers, I guess. So. Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of Comic-Con appearances. So this was the first one, as far as I'm aware of, that any of the cast have done before. Now, I do hope there are going to be some more. I think there's some definite good potential here for, to make this something really big because nobody else is doing it. So
yeah,
I'm optimistic. I'm hoping there's going to be more down the future line.
Yeah, I mean, Naked and Afraid is almost it. I feel like there's going to be a 16th season because there were some moments in the trailer for season 15 that those episodes haven't happened, so possibly season 16. So it's like there are so many seasons. Ooh. So it's just like I feel like there's enough popularity to like show more or to have you go to conventions and stuff like that. So I think that would be cool.
No, I hadn't taken notice of that. Okay, all right, cool. So I guess we got more episodes coming. Nice.
Yeah, and because, or I have proof, I have my source. I'm not just pulling this out of nowhere because there's in the trailer, I think Ashley's episode is very interesting because it's called Shark Attack, but the K needs to be replaced with a T. And I think she does a 21-day challenge. And then there's one where it's 3 women and a man. And we never saw those episodes. So there's at least 2 episodes
missing episodes.
Yeah. And if individuals go back, because I'm not pulling this out of nowhere. I'm crazy, but I'm not crazy about this.
You've got sources.
I have sources.
Okay, well, you know what? I should be going to you for information because you seem to have more information than I do right now.
I wish I knew as much about anything as Gabe knows about some of the shows that we cover.
I know more about other shows than Naked and Afraid, Joe, I swear.
For real, I think you got more inside scoop than I do.
I wish. I just kind of know what to look for, and I have my theories, but there's no producers just like, hey, or it's like, hey, but no one's telling me concrete information, so I can't be like without any proof.
Right.
I don't know anything Discovery, I swear. And okay, last few questions. Have you ever thought of doing voiceover work such as like narration for TV shows or audiobooks? Because I like just hearing your opening narration for your challenge. It's just like, oh, this is so nice and soothing, and I want to hear you tell me about like flying squirrels and all that fun stuff. Or have you ever thought about doing?
I have been asked about that before. I've never actually done any kind of work though. I mean, I'm sure I'd be interested in it, but I wouldn't even really know where to begin. Yeah, I mean, I'd gladly do it, but I've never looked into it before.
Yeah, I wish I could be more helpful with.
Oh, well, why'd you bring it up then, Gabe?
I'm sorry. I just enjoyed hearing your voice, so I didn't know if you ever thought about doing it. I know Joshua Seth, who voiced a character in Digimon. He has a podcast where he talks about that, and I think because of the pandemic, a lot of stuff is remote now, so you don't have to be like in the location most of the time. You can like send it off, but you need like a specific microphone. You need a certain program so they can hear you clearly. You have to have a space for that, or you can, if you're in the right spot, you could like go to a studio for that kind of stuff. But Discovery, if you need narrators, Joe can be your narrator.
Is this episode just going to be like, hey, Discovery, and then whatever our title is?
Well, I mean, the next question also leads to Discovery as well.
Oh, now what you got?
Okay. So if there are individuals out there who want to see you return to Naked and Afraid for another challenge, what would be the best ways for them to have their voices heard, or for them to be able to like say, hey, I want to see Joe return, kind of thing?
If you want to see me return, two things. One, make a big stink about it with hashtags. There are a couple of big fan groups online and Reddit. You can do Twitter. Yeah, just honestly, look at it like a business, okay? Discovery, they make money when people watch. They're going to bring people who are the most popular and who's going to bring the most viewers. I mean, you guys as viewers, fans out there, if you want to see a specific person come back, let them know. Put hashtags out on it. Say, Discovery, we want to see, this person, and we want to see, this kind of scenario, anything, just be vocal. You may not think your voice is being heard, but I mean, the moment you put it online, potentially anyone connected to the internet could see what you just wrote. Mm-hmm. So if you remember just to tag Discovery on it, tag Naked and Afraid, do the @ symbol, do the hashtags, whatever, just something so they know your opinion and let your voice be heard. That's how that's how people get back on. So whether it's me or anybody else, that's how you do it.
You heard them in the comments.
Website you can go to actually request, like to Discovery itself. I believe it's a Warner Brothers link. I will send that to you guys then after we tap out of here.
Yeah, we'll put that in the links so you guys know what to do out there if you're watching.
Make sure to include Joe and also Andrew and also Christopher James, because I'm wearing his T-shirt right now.
Nice.
But yeah, and a few other people.
Guy, I like him. I didn't know a whole lot about him when we first. When I first came on the cast. So I admit, I was kind of estranged, but, just getting to actually the opportunity to get to know him and speak to him a little bit. He is one of the most intelligent and just selfless individuals you're going to meet. Just over his overall experience and drive. I'm surprised he hasn't been pushed on more episodes as is. He's got a lot of potential to bring to the table here, not just personality, but skill set and just overall. He's really well liked. Just all the cast seem to get along with him. I think he's a really good asset, and I hope they do use him again.
Yeah, the question is, or because I know he wants to do a few separate challenges, and I'm just like, okay, which one should he be sent on first? A Redemption in Devil's Canyon that you, Chris, and Joe have to fight over, or Naked and Afraid of Sharks 3 with a few other individuals, or like an XL? It's like, which do they, or can they do them all at the same time? I mean, just like fly him to each location when he's done? I don't know.
Now, I don't know if they're going to do another Sharks one, because that's just, I feel like, anyway, this Castaway scenario, replace that. It's just a thought. Because, I mean, it came out right after Shark Week ended. So, maybe? I don't know.
Okay, so when people are submitting their request or making posts, they should say Christopher James or Chris James for Castaway Season 2.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
That'll work.
Hear that, Discovery? Sorry.
Yep, that works.
Okay. So I have 2 questions left. So you ready, Joe?
All right, make them good. What you got?
Okay, we have no questions left. Okay, bye.
Good questions.
Okay, so my second to last question is, what is next for Joe Ortlip? Whether more TV appearances, some maybe survival techniques you want to learn, what are like next in the next year, what are some goals that you wish to accomplish?
Oh, wow. Okay. So the very next thing is actually going to be the celebrity cruise coming up in October.
Oh,
Ooh,
yeah.
fun.
Yep. That is where a large majority of the Naked and Afraid cast and a couple of the crew are coming on the Carnival Cruise Line, the ship called Valor. We're going to be going away for, I believe it's a 5-night stay down in the Mexico, I'm not sure, the Gulf or whatever, like the Caribbean area. Yeah, so there's a lot of personal meet and greets. We're giving away special merchandise. We're still looking for a sponsor if anybody is out there, they're willing to put their name on all the stuff. If you guys are listening to this podcast, our top contributor out there, they're going to have their logo on all of our merchandise, all of our advertisements, and they will be recognized at all of our scheduled events that are going to be out there. So yeah, if anybody's out there,
Amazing.
we're still looking for sponsors. Okay.
Sponsor
Very
them.
cool.
Yes. So in any amount whatsoever, guys, any amount, we're looking for some sponsors. And depending upon what you put in, the tiers get you different perks.
Nice.
Okay. So, all right, moving past that, honestly, the only other thing that I have in the books right now, 2024, I am looking to actually launch my own business.
Well, congratulations.
Ooh, awesome.
I am right now working towards steps to do this. But again, I need, you need the licensing, you need the actual, I'm trying to get the education for it, certain things to kind of help my, help plead my case, I suppose, with banks. Yeah, and it's just like, I'm tired of waiting for things to happen. And it's just, I don't want to be at that stage in life where it's like, I look back and just, I wish I would have done, this. I wish I would have done when I was younger, or if I had more money, or if I had more time, and this, like, that time, that's happening right now. I don't want that.
Yeah.
Right? You'll never get that time back. So,
Yeah.
if you do something great, okay. If you fail, okay, at least you tried. You never have to look back and say, you know what, I wish I would have. Nope, I don't ever want to be in that position. So I got a dream. I'm going for it, and we'll see what happens.
That's awesome. And when, if you have an IG, I'll share it, or
that was going to be my question. Do you have anywhere where people can find you, or anywhere where you would want people to want to plug, or people to, say hi, or anything like that?
Sure, why not? Okay. Well, I primarily just use 2 different social media things. One is my Facebook. Just find me at Joe Ortlip, and that's Naked and Afraid, or on Instagram at Asian Survivalist.
Copy that. We'll have those links.
Pretty easy to find. It's just, I talk to essentially anybody. It's like I said, I'm just your average guy out there. There's nothing really, nothing to be intimidated about. If you want to talk about the weather, shoot me a message, whatever. You want to talk about the show? Okay, let's go.
Well, thank you so much for talking to us, because it's been it's been a lovely conversation.
Yes,
this
thank
has
you
been
so much
a
for
lovely,
being here.
lovely thing.
And
Certainly.
my final question before we let you go, don't worry, the individuals that are off camera that have that are holding your other necklace hostage, we'll give it to you shortly. Do you have any recommendations for future Naked and Afraid survivalists to interview for the podcast? If you could think of like 1 or 2 people that you could like throw their names out there, who would you choose to be interviewed by us?
Okay. So I'm actually going to give you one little tidbit after this is over too. Actually, you know what? No, I'll do that first. So, hey, real quick. So for anybody looking to get on the show, okay, I want to mention this before we go. Guys, there are going to be several thousands of people in that line with you. They're all going to have similar skills, similar backgrounds. We've seen in the past, you've got your military guys, you've got your bushcrafters, you've got moms out there, your stay-at-home, just people of all walks of life, right? Now look at this. They've all got certain set of skills. That's not as important as who you are. Now what I mean by this, guys, when you're going through the interview process, it's going to be all about you. What makes you special? Out of all these other people, and they've got all the same qualifications, why are you different? Why should we pick you? And if you guys can figure that out, you got a good chance of getting on. Okay. So as far as podcast guys, really, who are you looking for? Again, I would gladly recommend any of my bare bone bushcraft guys. Just these are people I'm down in the dirt with. I'd bleed, sweat, and cry with these people.
Yeah.
I can always forward it off to them if you like. Anybody of the Frozen people, I've met them all personally. I could always pass it on to them. Or you know what? Just anybody in general. I mean, who would make you guys happy if I can contact?
Gabe's like,
I have an idea, but I don't want to like start throwing names out there, and because Avery and Spencer worked really hard to put all this all together, and I don't want to put more stress on them. But like Andrew and Chris,
I'm just grateful that you didn't say you wouldn't wish this experience on anybody else.
And don't worry, we won't be in the line of people to be applying for the show, so there's 2 less people to worry about.
We were going to be very steep competition, so I'm sure they're all very happy.
We're very
that.
charismatic, you guys, and we're just stepping away from it all.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah.
I'll just send you guys a quick questionnaire. Don't worry about what it's for. I'll send it right back.
Yeah.
Wait a second. There's Meadow Flowers Media in the corner of this paper.
Ignore that. It's a sticker.
Copy.
Okay. Oh, well, you didn't ask for money, so I mean, it's not a scam. So here you go.
But thank you so much. Thank you so much for talking to us. It's been a joy. Thank you for being generous with your time and your energy, and we've really appreciated talking to you. We really, really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
And any final thoughts before we let you go about either the show, about yourself, all that jazz, keeping that positive mental attitude or anything like that?
Nah, guys, it really just was a privilege and a pleasure to be on here with you guys. I enjoyed myself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, and truly, as for your listeners, if there's one thing you can take away from this, just one. Remember, kindness is a choice, okay? You can be good to people and still not be taken advantage of.
Yeah.
Just remember that, you don't have to sacrifice your own happiness, just to try and please other people. It's just, you're going to end up, you're driving yourself nuts. You can't please the world. So that's my biggest thing for this, all the people that I've spoken to online, who have given feedback about, the different podcasts, and the episode representations. You can't please everyone. You can just be who you are. Don't try to be somebody else, because nobody else is going to be as good of you as you. Quit trying to imitate somebody else. Just do what makes you happy. And if you can be a decent person in the process, all the better.
Yeah. I can't agree with that more.
Yeah.
But
I think that's how I wanted it.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So thank you again. We'll let you get back to your Saturday. Thank you so much for sitting with us, and we really appreciate it. And we wish you all the best.
You bet. Thanks, guys, and thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Goodbye. Bye. Have a good day.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
You too. All right, Gabe. Now that we are all done with that, I don't know. Where do you want to go with the TARDIS today? Spencer's usually like, you guys didn't go anywhere. Are you guys just still there?
Well, can we flash forward to the future of Joe's next challenge, wherever that may be?
Discovery, we're looking at you.
Yeah,
we know this is coming.
Oh, and I was gonna be like, if Joe goes on another challenge, I'll grow out my beard. But since I didn't say that during the interview, it's fine.
Cheering from the sidelines. Here we go into the future. That next Joe challenge. Bye, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Joe. All the links will be in the description.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.